Once I've signed the divorce papers, pack your things and get out of my house, my husband, Marcus, said, sneering provocatively. Beside him stood Linda, his mistress, dreamily looking around our house. Wow, all this high-end furniture. How lovely, it's a house that fits me perfectly. Her words stung, but I kept my composure. Just so you know, I'm taking all of my personal belongings with me on moving day. Do I make myself clear? Marcus looked at me as if I was a comedian delivering the punchline to a hilarious joke. Of course, of course. If your stuff was left behind, it would just remind me of the miserable days we've had so far. He still doesn't understand the true meaning of my words, I thought, a slow smile spreading across my face. Just watch, I said, my voice dangerously low. Make sure you don't regret it later. My name is Elena. I'm a 26-year-old interior coordinator, and my soon-to-be ex-husband, Marcus, is 31 and works in construction. We met through our shared hobby of DIY and have been married for 3 years. At first, we cared for each other deeply, but now, I'm just grateful we never had children. Marcus had become unbearably self-indulgent. Every night, he'd carelessly toss his coat on the floor, devour the meal I had prepared while complaining about it, then retreat to his study without lifting a finger to help clean up. It was infuriating. Before our marriage, we made agreements, one of them being shared household chores. We decided to split them equally, but somewhere along the way, I ended up doing almost everything. When I pointed this out, his excuse was appalling. Housework is easy, so it's natural for women to do it, he'd say. Men have to take responsibility for work, so I don't want to do all that. His blatant sexism, which he conveniently kept hidden before our wedding, was shocking. It didn't help that I earned more than him, something that seemed to fuel his resentment. By the time I was Marcus's age, I planned to be even more financially independent, my income increasing significantly. The thought of this seemed to infuriate him. Marcus, meanwhile, contributed the bare minimum to our household expenses. He refused to save, choosing instead to spend his money recklessly. His constant frivolous purchases, despite my repeated warnings, drove me crazy. My hard-earned money, he'd scoff. How greedy can you be to still want more? As if that wasn't enough, he'd exaggerate to his coworkers about my supposed frugality, painting himself as a victim of a tight-fisted wife. He craved their sympathy. It was this feigned generosity and the manufactured narrative of our unhappy home life that attracted Linda. She was 24 and worked at Marcus's company as a temporary employee. Marcus, at 31, was practically ancient history compared to the younger men at work, so it wasn't difficult to see why he caught her eye. Gosh, Marcus, she'd gush, if I had a handsome husband like you, I'd take care of him forever. His ego inflated, Marcus quickly became infatuated. I discovered his infidelity about 6 months ago, right as the affair began. One day, an unknown woman called his phone. Driven by a bad feeling, I searched her name on social media and found Linda. Today's the date with my future husband at a fancy restaurant, she posted alongside several photos of a man who was undeniably Marcus. I'm so nervous since it's my first time. I saved all the photos and retrieved their incriminating exchanges from Marcus's phone. The dates, conversations, locations, there was no doubt about it. He was cheating. Strangely, when I found out, I wasn't overcome with anger or sadness. I just felt empty. I understood that being reminded of his responsibilities after a long day wasn't ideal, but everything I did for us, for our future. Maybe I was a bit too strict, but to have an affair after only 3 years of marriage simply because he was fed up? It was unforgivable. I wouldn't waste time feeling sorry for myself. I had worked hard in our marriage, always striving to find a compromise, but I couldn't tolerate infidelity. I deserved better. So, I decided to divorce him. A month later, on a Saturday, I arranged a meeting with Marcus and Linda. They were, understandably, shocked when I contacted Linda. They probably never thought I'd find out, let alone confront them. Perhaps blinded by her perceived victory, Nina seemed thrilled, not even bothering to feign remorse or justify her actions. "Elena, are you really okay with the minimal compensation?" she asked, her voice dripping with faux concern. "That's right," I replied calmly, watching their reactions carefully. Marcus and I decided, before our marriage, not to divide our assets. Linda, clutching Marcus's hand as if she'd won the lottery, celebrated. Yes. It was true. We'd had that discussion. However, in exchange for not dividing our assets, the agreed-upon compensation I would receive was insignificant. Since I had my own income, I hadn't been concerned about that aspect at the time. But what truly angered me was their utter lack of remorse for their betrayal. "It's going to be amazing living in such a stylish house," Nina gushed, her eyes scanning our carefully curated home. "The appliances are top of the line. It's just the perfect house for me." I handed over the divorce papers, my voice devoid of emotion. "Even during our marriage, we never divided the things I bought. I'll be taking all of my personal belongings with me. You understand that, right, Marcus?" He stared at me blankly, his brow furrowed in confusion. "It's obvious your plainclothes and bags wouldn't suit young Linda, anyway," he scoffed. "I have to buy her better things. And besides, if I left your belongings here, they'd just be a reminder of the painful days we had together." He assumed I was talking about clothing and other minor possessions. It was easier to let him continue believing that than to engage in a pointless argument. "The movers will be here tomorrow to take everything. Be prepared." They barely acknowledged my words, too busy admiring their future home. "Take a good look while you can," I said, the corners of my mouth twitching in amusement. "Because it won't look like this for long." The following morning, they hovered impatiently as if trying to speed up my departure. I ignored them, calmly sipping my coffee as I waited for the movers. Right on time, a large truck pulled up, and the workers greeted me energetically. "Thank you for choosing us today. We have another truck waiting nearby, so please don't worry." Linda, her face a mixture of confusion and annoyance, approached me hesitantly. "Do you really have that many personal belongings?" I could barely contain my laughter. "The house itself belongs to Marcus, but all the appliances and furniture are mine. That's what a no division of property means. Remember?" Marcus, his face turning an alarming shade of crimson, sputtered in disbelief. "All the furniture and appliances are yours? They've been in this house for 3 years. Just take your stuff and get out." I'd held my tongue long enough. It was time for the grand finale. "I did buy them, with my own money," I said, savoring each word. "Please deliver them to my parents' address. They'll be at their new house." The movers, exchanging amused glances, jumped into the truck and drove off. "Hey, I didn't hear about this. What are you going to do?" Nina shrieked, her face contorted in anger. Just then, another car pulled up, and Nina jumped back in alarm. "Wait, who's coming now? What are you plotting?" "Elena, it's been a while. Is it true you're giving me the wallpaper?" My friend, a fellow interior design enthusiast, emerged from the car. "That's right, the wallpaper too," I said, watching Linda's face pale. The wallpaper, a custom design by a renowned artist I'd met through work, had been installed shortly after we'd moved in. You're going to peel off the wallpaper too?" Nina stared at me in disbelief. My friend chuckled, unfazed by Linda's meltdown. "Don't worry, it's reusable. A bit of maintenance and resizing, and it'll be good as new. Please, at least leave the wallpaper." Marcus pleaded, but I ignored him. "Seeing my belongings would only bring back painful memories for you, right?" I said sweetly, enjoying their stunned silence. "That's why I decided to give it all to my friend." Marcus gaped at me, speechless for once. The house, our house, was rapidly emptying before their very eyes. Replacing the wallpaper alone would cost a small fortune, not to mention the high-end furniture and appliances they'd now need to replace. It was undoubtedly a painful and very expensive reality check. They were too deflated to even muster a complaint as my friend finished carefully removing the last of the wallpaper. "The house is empty now," one of the movers said, looking at me with concern. "Are you sure this is okay?" I smiled. "There's no problem. Everything that was in this house belonged to me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a moving truck to follow." As I left the empty house, I saw the full weight of the situation dawn on Marcus and Linda. They had an empty shell, stripped bare of its former glory. Their dream home, now a stark reminder of their terrible choices. Later, I heard that they had tried to get financial help from their parents to refurnish the house, but their pleas were met with icy silence. No one, it seemed, was willing to help them clean up their mess, let alone forgive their betrayal. They were left to dwell in their sparsely furnished home, a constant reminder of their failed affair and the high cost of their deceit. I couldn't even muster an ounce of sympathy. They had made their bed, and now, they had to lie in it. As for me, I've moved on. The furniture and appliances, which held too many bad memories, were sold to a buyer friend of mine. I've been seeing a wonderful man I met through work. He's an interior designer, and we spend our weekends exploring flea markets and antique shops, searching for the perfect pieces to furnish my new home, a home filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter future. Life was good. I savored my newfound freedom, the joy of creating a beautiful and welcoming space for myself. My career was thriving, and my relationship with the interior designer, Mark, was blossoming into something truly special. One sunny afternoon, my peaceful solitude was shattered by an unexpected phone call. It was Marcus. "Elena," he said, his voice strained, desperate. "Linda, she left me." I wasn't surprised. Their relationship, built on a foundation of lies and deceit, was never going to last. I don't know what to do," he stammered, a flicker of his old arrogance returning. "The house, it's unbearable without her. I need your help, Elena. You're the only one who can make it right again." His audacity was astounding. After everything, the betrayal, the insults, the utter lack of respect, he had the gall to ask for my help? "What makes you think I would even consider helping you?" I asked, my voice ice cold. "Please, Elena," he pleaded, the desperation in his voice palpable. "You were right. I was a fool to throw it all away. I was blinded by I don't even know what. But I see things clearly now. I made a mistake, a huge mistake. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it." His words were honeyed, calculated to evoke my sympathy. But I had heard it all before. "Marcus," I said, my voice firm, "you made your choices. And now, you have to live with the consequences. I have moved on, and so should you." I hung up the phone, a weight lifting from my shoulders. His pleas meant nothing to me anymore. I was finally free from the shackles of my past. A few weeks later, I received a beautifully handwritten invitation. Ethan and I were invited to a gallery opening showcasing the works of up-and-coming artists. One name on the invitation stood out, Linda. Intrigued, Ethan and I decided to attend. The gallery was buzzing with excitement, the air thick with anticipation. We sipped our wine, admiring the art and mingling with the other guests. And then I saw her. Linda, looking stunning in a simple yet elegant black dress, was standing by her artwork, a series of hauntingly beautiful photographs depicting abandoned and decaying homes. "They're incredible, aren't they?" a woman standing next to me remarked, her eyes fixed on Linda's photographs. "She has a real gift for capturing the raw emotion of a space." Apparently, her muse was her ex-husband's house. He left her shortly after they moved in, and she poured all of her heartbreak into her art. Quite tragic, really. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, even though she had played a part in her own misfortune. As if sensing my gaze, Nina turned, her eyes meeting mine across the crowded room. For a moment, we simply stared at each other, a million unspoken words passing between us. And then, she smiled sadly, a hint of regret in her eyes. She walked towards me, her head held high. "Elena," she said, her voice low. "These are even better in person." "They are," I admitted, genuinely impressed by her talent. "I wanted to apologize," she said, her eyes downcast. "For everything. I was foolish and selfish. You deserved so much better than how I treated you. I let my insecurities and my jealousy get the best of me." I was taken aback by her sincerity. It seemed she had learned her lesson. "I accept your apology," I said softly. "I grace you find happiness, Linda. You deserve it." We spoke for a while longer, the past acknowledged but not forgotten. As we said our goodbyes, I realized that sometimes, even from the ashes of heartbreak, something beautiful can emerge. Nina had found her voice through her art, and I had finally found peace. Life, with all its twists and turns, had led us both to where we needed to be. As Ethan and I left the gallery, hand in hand, the city lights twinkling around us, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Life had thrown some curveballs my way, but I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to create a beautiful life for myself. My career continued to flourish. My keen eye for design, coupled with my understanding of human emotions and the power of a well-curated space, had earned me a reputation as one of the most sought-after interior coordinators in the city. Mark, with his quiet strength and unwavering support, had become my rock. He understood the complexities of my past, the lingering shadows of betrayal and hurt, and he loved me unconditionally, scars and all. One evening, over a candlelit dinner, Ethan surprised me with a small, velvet box. My heart skipped a beat as he got down on one knee, his eyes shimmering with love and adoration. "Elena," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "from the moment I met you, I knew you were the one. You are the most beautiful, intelligent, and compassionate woman I have ever known. Will you do me the incredible honor of becoming my wife?" Tears welled up in my eyes as I whispered, "Yes, Mark, 1,000 times yes." Our wedding, a small and intimate affair held in my grandparents' garden, was a celebration of love, family, and the promise of a bright future. Surrounded by the people who loved us most, I vowed to cherish Ethan and the life we were building together. Life, however, had one more unexpected turn in store for me. One crisp autumn afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. Hesitantly, I answered. Elena, a woman's voice, weary and unfamiliar, spoke. It's Linda." My heart sank. I hadn't heard from her since the gallery opening. "Linda? Is everything alright?" "No," she whispered, her voice thick with tears. "It's not. I don't know what to do." She explained, her voice trembling, that she was pregnant. Marcus, consumed by his own misery and bitterness, had refused to have anything to do with the baby. He had even gone so far as to accuse her of getting pregnant on purpose, a desperate attempt to trap him. Linda, heartbroken and alone, had nowhere to turn. She had lost her job, her apartment, and her family refused to speak to her. She was adrift, clinging to the last shred of grace she had left, that I, the woman she had wronged so deeply, might find it in my heart to help her. I listened to her story, my heart heavy with a mixture of emotions. Anger at Marcus's cruelty, pity for Linda's desperate situation, and a deep, instinctive empathy for the innocent life growing inside of her. I knew I couldn't turn my back on her. "Where are you?" I asked, my voice softening. She gave me her location, a rundown motel on the outskirts of town. I knew what I had to do. Mark, his face etched with concern, met me at the motel. We found Nina huddled in a corner of the dingy room, her face pale and drawn, her eyes reflecting a deep well of despair. Without a word, I gathered her into my arms. She clung to me, her small frame shaking with sobs. In that moment, all the anger, the hurt, the resentment I had harbored for so long melted away. All that remained was compassion. We took Nina back to our home, a place of warmth, love, and the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. Mark, ever the supportive partner, assured me that we would figure things out together. Over the next few weeks, as Nina slowly began to heal, I realized something profound. Forgiveness, true forgiveness, wasn't about condoning someone else's actions, it was about releasing myself from the shackles of the past, about choosing compassion over anger, and about recognizing the inherent humanity that connects us all, even in the face of betrayal and pain. Linda's pregnancy became a catalyst for healing, for growth, and for unexpected joy. We helped her find a comfortable apartment and supported her emotionally and financially as she prepared to become a mother. Marcus, consumed by his own bitterness, remained a distant figure, his absence a constant reminder of the destructive power of pride and resentment. In the spring, Nina gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She named her Hope, a testament to the unwavering belief in the possibility of a brighter future. Holding Gracie in my arms, I was filled with a profound sense of peace. Life, with all its messy complexities, had come full circle. And in the end, love, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds of family had triumphed over adversity. We had all learned that sometimes, the greatest betrayals can lead to the most unexpected blessings. And that even in the darkest of times, hope, like a tiny seed, can take root and blossom into something truly extraordinary. Years passed, painted with the vibrant hues of a life well lived. Hope, a bright and inquisitive child with Linda's sparkling eyes and Marcus's stubborn streak, blossomed under the love and care of her mother and the extended family she had unknowingly brought together. Linda, embracing her role as a single mother with fierce determination and unwavering love, had found her true calling. Gone was the insecure young woman who had sought validation in the arms of another woman's husband. In her place stood a strong, independent woman, her heart brimming with wisdom and compassion, her spirit ignited by the fierce love for her daughter. She had even reconnected with her art, her photographs now celebrated for their raw honesty and poignant beauty. Her work, often centered around themes of resilience, hope, and the enduring strength of the human spirit, resonated deeply with audiences, earning her critical acclaim and a loyal following. My career continued to thrive, my work taking me to far-flung corners of the globe. Mark, my steadfast partner, my confidant, and the love of my life, embraced my passion for design, often accompanying me on my travels. We had created a beautiful life together, filled with laughter, adventure, and the quiet contentment that comes from knowing you are loved unconditionally. We had even begun to talk about starting a family of our own, the prospect both exciting and a little daunting. As for Marcus, he remained a ghost from the past, a cautionary tale whispered on the wind. His life, once filled with such promise, had become a desolate landscape of regret and self-inflicted isolation. He had chosen bitterness over growth, resentment over redemption. And in doing so, he had lost everything that truly mattered. One cool spring evening, as the setting sun cast long shadows across our garden, painting the blooming cherry blossoms in shades of gold and crimson, Nino and Grace joined Ethan and me for dinner. Hope, now a precocious 7-year-old, skipped ahead of us, her laughter echoing through the air like wind chimes. She had become a cherished part of our lives, her infectious laughter and boundless energy a constant source of joy. As we gathered around the dinner table, sharing stories and laughter, I noticed Nina studying Ethan and me, her eyes filled with a bittersweet longing. "You too," she said, her voice soft, "you have something truly special." She paused, her gaze drifting to Hope, who was engrossed in building a tower of sugar cubes. "I never thought I could ever have this kind of happiness. A real family. People who love me for me, not for who they want me to be." I reached across the table, taking her hand in mine. "Linda, you deserve all the happiness in the world. You are an amazing mother, a talented artist, and a true friend. Never forget that." She squeezed my hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you, Elena. For everything." As the evening deepened and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I reflected on the unexpected turns my life had taken. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the anger, they had all been a part of my journey, shaping me, molding me into the woman I was today, strong, resilient, and filled with a profound capacity for love and forgiveness. And as I watched Hope, her laughter echoing through the night, I realized that sometimes, the greatest gifts come wrapped in the most unexpected packages. Sometimes, the broken pieces of our past can be reassembled into something even more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. And sometimes, the greatest love stories are not found in fairy tales, but in the messy, complicated, and ultimately triumphant tapestry of real life. Hope, now a vibrant and headstrong teenager, had blossomed into a talented young artist, her canvases bursting with the same raw emotion and unflinching honesty that had made her mother's photography so compelling. Her preferred subject? People. She saw beyond the carefully constructed facades, capturing the essence of a soul with a few strokes of her brush. Her portraits, often a riot of color and texture, revealed hidden depths, unspoken stories, and the raw beauty of the human experience. Ethan and I had finally taken the plunge into parenthood, welcoming our twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, into the world. Our home, once filled with the quiet hum of two busy professionals, now echoed with the joyful chaos of family life. Parenthood, as it turned out, was our greatest adventure yet. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and filled with moments of both profound joy and utter bewilderment. But through it all, Ethan and I faced the challenges together, our bond strengthened by the shared love for our daughters. Linda, now a successful gallery owner, had become a force to be reckoned with in the art world. She had a knack for discovering and nurturing new talent, her gallery a haven for artists seeking a platform to share their unique visions with the world. Life, it seemed, had a way of surprising us, of leading us down unexpected paths, of offering second chances and unexpected blessings. But some wounds, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of resurfacing. One rainy Saturday afternoon, as I was helping Emma and Chloe build a pillow fort in the living room, the phone rang. It was the hospital. Marcus, they informed me, had been admitted. He was gravely ill, his body ravaged by years of hard living and unaddressed pain. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the phone. Years of carefully constructed emotional walls crumbled, replaced by a wave of conflicting emotions. Pity for the man he had become, sadness for the dreams we had once shared, and a lingering sense of responsibility. I knew I couldn't turn my back on him. Mark, sensing my turmoil, took the phone from my trembling hand. "We'll go," he said, his voice firm, his gaze filled with unwavering support. The hospital room was sterile and cold, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and the weight of unspoken words. Marcus lay propped up in bed, his skin sallow, his breathing labored. Gone was the arrogant young man who had once taken my love for granted. In his place lay a frail stranger, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of regret. He looked up as we entered, his gaze meeting mine for the first time in years. A flicker of recognition, of something akin to shame, crossed his features. "Elena," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper. I never. I moved closer, pulling up a chair beside his bed. "It's all right, Marcus," I said softly, my hand finding his. "Just rest." He closed his eyes, tears tracing a path through the wrinkles that etched his face. "I was a fool," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "A selfish, arrogant fool. I hurt you. I hurt everyone who ever loved me." "It's okay," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Let it go, Marcus. Focus on getting better." But deep down, I knew it was too late for apologies, too late for redemption. The damage had been done, the choices made, the consequences irreversible. Marcus died a few days later, his passing a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing the people we love. His death, though not unexpected, cast a pall over our lives. Hope, though she had never formed a real bond with her father, grieved for the relationship she had never had, for the missing piece in her life's puzzle. We stood by Linda's side, offering comfort and support as she navigated the complexities of grief and loss, her heart heavy with a mixture of sorrow and a strange sense of closure. As the sun began its final descent, casting long shadows across the cemetery, I placed a single white rose on Marcus's grave. "Goodbye, Marcus," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "May you finally find peace." As we turned to leave, I felt a hand slip into mine. It was Hope, her eyes filled with tears, her small hand clutching mine with surprising strength. "It's okay to be sad," I said, pulling her close. She nodded, leaning into my embrace. And in that moment of shared grief and unspoken understanding, I was reminded that even in the face of loss, life, like hope, springs eternal.